Hi, this is Mike Loveday from StudentSportsLacrosse.com, and I'm here with Austin Polson McCannon from Prior Lake. He's a long stick midi who recently made his college choice. Before we get to that, Austin, talk a little bit about who are your final three schools going into the process for you.
My final three schools were the University of Detroit Mercy, the University of Albion, and Adrian College.
Okay, and you ultimately chose Detroit Mercy, and you had mentioned to me in the pre-interview that you'd actually done all three school visits in the same weekend. So talk a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, it was a very intense weekend. I did an overnight visit with Detroit during the day with Albion. Got to see their practice and got to meet a couple players, have lunch, and then I did another overnight visit with Adrian. And got to have dinner with the coaches, and it was just really a busy weekend, but it was good to have see three different schools and three different options at three different schools. It was nice to see.
Yeah, and obviously, I guess it makes it a little bit easier since you get them all in the same weekend. So obviously, you had a fresh perspective on what they were all be like. So what was it ultimately about Detroit Mercy that kind of made them the choice for you?
The idea of going D1 was really exciting for me. I liked their lacrosse program because they're a new program, and they keep getting better and better every year. They already made the tournament. I think it was in their fifth year, and that's the fastest, or tied for the fastest, I think, in history. That's really exciting for me. Their academic programs as well for business is really good, and that fits my needs as a student. So yeah, that really just sealed the deal for me.
Okay. And I guess one of the things that I learned about your recruiting process is lacrosse wasn't always, I guess, on your forefront as your number one sport. You were mainly, I guess, focused on hockey for the longest time. So what was it about lacrosse that ultimately helped you make the switch from, primarily focused on hockey to focused on lacrosse and eventually going D1?
Yeah, it was a surprising transition for me. Hockey in Minnesota, you play it when you can walk, basically. I played it my whole life, but after my junior year, playing, I had a really good season for lacrosse, and my coach urged me, you should go to a camp or you should try out for a team. We started talking to coaches, sending out videos, and it just really just kind of took over. I guess it was just brought more opportunities for college for me, so that's the route I decided to go.
Yeah, and adding even another element to your recruiting story is nowadays most kids play on an elite travel team, especially from the areas like Minnesota and farther west, where a lot of those guys come east. You never played for an elite travel team, so talk a little bit about one, picking up lacrosse. I guess not picking it up late, but kind of deciding late that you were going to make that your ultimate choice, and what it was like getting recruited and not having really been on any of those travel teams.
Yeah, it really limited, the timetable I had to start talking to coaches, and also, people are committing very early in high school, so a lot of teams were already filled up. So that kind of hindered during the process, but I just kept my options open. I just was open-minded during the whole process.
Okay. And I always like to ask all the guys, especially, and you might have a unique perspective on it, since you've had a little bit of a unique perspective on the whole recruiting thing, is, if looking back on it, what's one piece of advice that you either, were told in the process or that you learned through the process to pass on to an underclassman who may just now be beginning this?
Yeah, I kind of learned on the go. I really go on the visits, go on the overnights. I really had a good time on the overnights. That gives you time to connect with the players, see what type of personalities each team has. That was probably the biggest thing for me, was the overnight visits and spending time with the guys one-on-one.
Yeah. Was that, what do you think, because I guess you went to one that wasn't an overnight, so what was the biggest difference between the overnights and not, like, for you, what did that kind of add to that process?
The overnights, just, I guess you got more time with the guys, but definitely, the non-overnight stay was great too. I got to meet with the coaches. I got to see a full practice, and see kind of during the day what the students were doing. So it kind of added a different perspective for me, which was also nice. So I guess either way you go, it's a bonus. It's good.